Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I actually want to break down a lot of stuff with the Walking Dead The Ones Who Live finale. First of all, the ratings. I do want to talk about that, and yeah, I want to get into some new stuff here with the Walking Dead universe, because there's been a lot of stuff that has sort of came out over the last, like, I guess, since yesterday anyways, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about, honestly, surprisingly, because like, usually when shows end, there's some stuff to talk about, but things usually die out pretty fast. But with The Ones Who Live, there's like all these little reveals coming out just like days later, and there's like this and that, and there was a lot of stuff in that final episode that I do think was pretty intentional, you know, to sort of set up, you know, the next, I don't know, however many years of The Walking Dead. So yeah, but in this one here, we'll talk about the finale ratings, and then I want to get into some stuff about like a new spin-off show potentially, because yeah, I think that is something that probably could come out very soon. But before we go any further, obviously, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all of my Walking Dead content like this. And also, if you haven't subscribed to my podcast yet, definitely consider doing so. The podcast is called Empty Minds, and we just posted a really cool video. I created Lucille, like Negan's Lucille, and yeah, all I'll say is that we had a lot of fun with that, and we do upload episodes every single Monday, and I think the next one coming out here is going to be episode 40, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun to do. So yeah, if you're interested, definitely go and subscribe to the podcast. I'll leave a link down below in the description of this video. I also want to mention that I will be doing a video. It'll probably be like this weekend when I have a lot more time to be able to actually watch this. But I'm going to do a breakdown of the Show Me More, I guess, The Ones Who Live finale, or not Ones Who Live finale, but the whole entirety of The Ones Who Live. The Walking Dead, or I guess AMC actually posted that on their YouTube channel, and it's actually really interesting because it goes inside The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, and explores everything, and it's literally the length of a full episode of the Ones Who Live. So it's like, you know, I'm really interested in that. I've seen some stuff that has come out from it already that I do actually want to talk about in like separate videos, because there's some details to it that I just never really noticed, and I do want to go back and actually watch episode 1 and see during certain scenes if you can actually notice that. And the one thing that I guess I'll tease that here is that apparently Daryl was actually in a scene. There's actually a shot in episode 1 where we do actually, I don't know if Daryl's there or if it's more of just like a background thing. You don't really see it at all, because obviously, you know, you wouldn't want to show anything like that in a scene like that, because obviously just, you know, for the story and stuff. But yeah, I want to talk about that because I found that very, very interesting. So expect that video coming out in the next couple of days. But let's talk about the ratings here. So The Ones Who Live is all over. Everything's sort of done with that. And now we have the ratings for all 6 episodes. And so the highest rated episode so far out of all 6 is episode 3, and that is with 0.9 million. And I do have to clarify that this is also just like same night viewers, and it's just US viewers. So anyone who lives outside of the US, if you're watching it on cable or in any way, it doesn't count that. And also, even if you do live in the US and you're watching it on like AMC Plus, they're not counting that as an actual view here. Like, the view that they're counting here is actually only for just cable viewers in the United States. And so obviously that's why the numbers are very, very low. Like, you look at, you know, generally what the episodes have been around, which is like what, 0.875 or 0.88 around there, you know, overall all season. And that is much lower than what The Walking Dead used to have. But most people watch on AMC Plus now, and I believe those numbers are like in the millions, right? So, you know, we're never going to get those numbers, and so it's kind of hard to really read into the ratings here a lot, because you can't compare, you know, what this really means compared to the past, because everything is all different. The numbers also mean different things now, but no one watches TV shows really like at the same exact time as the episode comes out, right? It's so different now. People watch it within the next week or two. Some people wait until the entire show is over so that they're able to binge watch the entire show. Like, just the way people watch TV shows is so different from when The Walking Dead first started, where it was like every Sunday you sat there on your couch, you were so hyped for every episode, and everyone was doing the same thing. You know, it was all anyone talked about, you know, so it's very, very different now. And so you just kind of, you know, you look at that. Yeah, you know, and considering just all the updates that came out for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, it looks like the first episode broke a ton of records. If you remember, it was like the most watched premiere for a new series for AMC in the last like 6 years, which is absolutely incredible. Like, that's, I can't even believe that. And so if you look at the next episodes, and again, that premiere had 0.896. Episode 2 had 0.880. So it dropped a little bit. Episode 3 picked up a lot to 0.905, and then episode 4 dropped to 0.876. Episode 5 was the least viewed episode with 0.815, and then the last time, the finale here of The Ones Who Live had 0.852. So that was like the second lowest, I believe. And so I think that, the last two episodes falling off like that, I just really think that all that comes down to is just sort of the holidays. Like there was spring break that just happened and there was Easter and all of that. So there's just a lot of that kind of happening. Like that's very, very normal. And people are most likely going to be watching it. Like, honestly, when I look at like the people I know that have watched The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, they were all there watching every single episode for the most part. A lot of them didn't watch episode 1 immediately, but did eventually. But they did watch episode 2, 3, and 4 on time. Then episodes 5 and 6, they all just like kind of forgot about it, but they're catching up on it right now. So I think that's where a lot of those views are gonna, start to come in. And again, it's because, people just have things they got to do in their lives and stuff. In the last, 2 weeks, I would say, there was quite a bit in terms of like spring break and Easter and a lot of that. So I think that's sort of the explanation for that. And generally, anyways, it's sort of matching the ratings of previous episodes. And so I think that, you look at the ratings overall and the viewership, like they're much higher than the previous spinoffs with Daryl Dixon and Dead City, right? Weirdly, Daryl Dixon is like the lowest viewed spinoff, at least according to US viewers, which I don't really understand. Personally, I don't understand that. In so many ways, I would say Daryl Dixon is like the best spinoff because of the Variant Walker stuff, because of the setting. Personally, for me, there's a lot to it that I just find so fascinating and just like relaxing to watch. Like, it's such an amazing show. The Ones Who Live is really incredible, obviously, and I love the fact that we got Rick and Michonne back, but there's a lot to Daryl Dixon that like as soon as I saw the teaser anyways for season 2, it was so refreshing to see. Again, I really love that world that Daryl Dixon has sort of built up there. So that's sort of my preference there. I'm probably, I'm not in the majority that believes that, I'm sure, but that's just sort of where I'm at right now. And that could change over time, obviously. But yeah, the ratings here, I'm very, very happy with. I think that The Ones Who Live did really amazingly. And Denai Guerrera and Andrew Lincoln, they're very aware of that. I've seen an interview recently with Denai Guerrera actually where they asked her, or they talked with her about that, like, about the possibility of a season 2. And it was first sort of mentioned, like, you've obviously seen how massive of a success that this show was, for AMC and stuff. So, this is show business, like obviously they would want to keep it going and this and that. And, Denai obviously kind of laughed about that and then just kind of said she couldn't get into it and all of that, because obviously I think that is sort of the way that they operate. Like, I think a lot of us kind of know that at this point, right? If you look at how they promoted The Ones Who Live, even just from like the very beginning of writing it and everything, if you look at their involvement and doing all of that, even talking about a season 2 or anything about the ending, they really they like surprises. And Denai and I think Andy were even saying that in a lot of the interviews where they were saying that, that's sort of how they, I guess, approach the story in terms of like the cliffhangers at the end of episodes and having Rick and Michonne reunite at the end of the first episode. Because, and that's one thing that I think Denai actually said was that like they know Walking Dead fans, like they know their fans. And so I think that they knew that we were sort of expecting a slow build up for a Rick and Michonne scene, of them reuniting. And then so for it to happen right in the first episode, for Rick to lose his hand immediately in the first episode as well, it just like threw us off guard immediately. So I think they like surprises. They do like to build up stuff like that. And I do like that. I really do like that because it made the show a lot of fun. And there was a lot of things that happened that were so unexpected. I did not see Major General Beale dying, even though I do disagree with that. They did make that creative choice and stuff. And so I think that's why when it comes to a season 2 or like a new show or whatever, that's why we're not really hearing anything about it right now. And they're not like absolutely shutting the door on that. They're very, very open to it. And it's not only that they're very, very open to it, like they're talking about specific things. Denai has mentioned specific things about the story and like what the characters would be doing after The Ones Who Live. And Andrew Lincoln was talking about, what it would be like to reunite with Negan and with Daryl, and said that, they talked about that in length. So I'm just like, yeah, there's definitely plans here. It's just how do you put it all together? And I think that really, that I would normally say that really is all on Scott Gimple, but I think it's Scott Gimple and Denai Guerrera. I actually think she's going to be a bigger part of this next series or season 2. And I do want to say that, like, I've been seeing so many people say, stop saying that there's going to be a season 2 because it's not happening. Like, honestly, it is frustrating for me to see because a lot of people aren't really reading the quotes and seeing what the actors are actually saying about it. But all I'll say is that this was the same exact place that we were at before with The Ones Who Live. Like, before they announced the show and stuff, everyone was like, well, no, Andrew Lincoln's done. They're not going to be doing this. And now you got to stop talking about it. It's not happening. Like, it's not happening. Like, literally, I've seen those comments for years. Even when they announced the show, for like up to a year after they announced it, I was still seeing those same exact comments about it's not happening. It's not happening, until we started to see actual footage. Then it was like, okay, it is actually happening. And now people are saying the same thing in terms of, you know, season 2's not happening. And you just look at what they're saying. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously it's not officially confirmed, but we're sort of in that same place as where we were at before. I think they're working on the story, and it is just going to take some time, and we will get an announcement. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I'm assuming it's probably going to happen in 2025, to be honest, but that's just sort of based off of, you know, before we waited, like, how long do we wait? A long time, right, for The Ones Who Live. So I'm just kind of going based off of that. Obviously, I don't think we're going to wait another 6 years for the next series or a season 2, because 6 years from now would be 2030. I don't see us waiting that long, but yeah, I don't know. At some point, you know, we will obviously get it. And I think that's sort of how they want to handle all of this, is that they want to have, you know, they want to be a part of a TV show that has seasons coming out every single year. They want to put together like a limited series that comes out that's sort of like a film, but it's like an extended film, right? Which I really do like. And I think that that's why I don't know what their next plan is. I don't know if it's going to be a new series that's like a part 2 to The Ones Who Live, or if it's going to be a season 2, you know, because you can make an argument for both. Like, a new series at that point makes a lot of sense, you know, like they were originally going to do 3 movies, like a trilogy. And so what if you just did a trilogy of limited series, right? That almost makes a lot of sense in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see if that ends up being the case here. But, you know, obviously you can make the argument as well that a season 2 will happen, just because of the name, The Ones Who Live, right? Like, that's a really good name. So I don't know if they want to give up on that name. So we'll have to wait and see. But what I also want to get into is the idea of a new spinoff happening. And I would really, personally, I would actually really like this to happen. And I saw, I think it was Kari Payton actually post online, and I think it was sort of a reference to a post made by The Hollywood Reporter. And yeah, it was just basically talking about like a new era of The Walking Dead and what that could be like which characters could you actually focus on. And the 4 characters they highlighted here were Jerry, Mercer, Ezekiel, and Connie. And personally for me, yes, if you were to do like a Walking Dead new era, or I don't know what kind of story you would do, focusing on those 4 characters would be incredible. Like, I think there is definitely a story that you can tell there. You would have to juggle it with the fact that Rick is there. And so how does that make sense? Like, if Rick is there, how would he not be in some of those scenes, right? But again, this is the sort of same thing that Marvel goes through as well. It's like, when Spider-Man's dealing with this, why isn't Iron Man there? Or like, why isn't this thing happening, right? Like, it's always going to be a thing, and you just kind of have to somehow explain all that away. And that's something that, you know, they just do really well. So Gimple's going to have to handle that. That's sort of the whole thing about, you know, doing universes and stuff like that, is that you do deal with a lot of issues like that, right? But I think that, you know, they can definitely make that work. I think that it makes a lot of sense. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.